This is not surprising to most of you, but I really like fuel efficiency, or efficiency in general, which is extremely ironic because I used to daily drive my 5.7 liter V8 truck, and that is not efficient at all. The best I can manage to do with it with my commute is about 12 liters per 100 Ks, which is not actually that bad, but it is a lot of highway, so that really is where the V8 shines. In the city though, it's absolutely trash. Garbage fuel economy. I wish it was a hybrid, honestly. So that kind of got me thinking. Usually engines with more displacement and more cylinders are going to be less efficient, especially when it's stop and go. Stop and go, stop and go. They have to keep accelerating, and that's when they're the least efficient. When you're on the highway and you're cruising, you can get super smooth with those engines. They run at super low RPM because they have a lot of power to spare, and that's where they're the best. So today I'm back in automation to do some more fuel economy testing because I want to try out V10s. What's the best we can do for a V10 in terms of fuel efficiency? Now, a lot of this is going to have to do with the car that you choose for it. I'm going to end up choosing this Boral R, although we're going to modify it heavily for this purpose. Now, I know I can do better than what this car is at currently because it's currently 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers here. That's what we're going to use as our benchmark. Gotta do better than 8.2. And just for reference, that is with a 300 horsepower 1.7 liter turbo inline 4, so that's a lot less cylinders. So what if we take this inline 4, we boost it up to 90 degrees, and we give it 10 cylinders instead of its previous amount? It is going to be transversely mounted, and this car is going to be front-wheel drive, as awkward as that is, but it is in the name of better economy. The front-wheel drive just tends to be more efficient. So in order to make this fit, I am going to have to shrink it down, and I had a size restriction last time I did this, but this time I'm not giving myself any restrictions. It doesn't have to make a certain amount of power. It literally is just going to have to be as efficient as I can get it, which means we're going to make this a sub 1 liter V10. It is going to be extremely small. So the engine in its current form makes 215 horsepower, which is actually not terrible. I believe it still is turbocharged, so I'm going to have to change that most likely to get the best efficiency that we can get. Here you can see our field efficiency is currently, or engine efficiency, I guess, is currently 16.9%. Now, if we go to the car stats, we can actually see what the fuel efficiency is. We're rocking 7.1, so immediately it's better than it was before. Now, I'm going to try to use everything that I know about efficiency for this, so I mean, I know a decent amount about fuel efficiency, but it's not going to be perfect. So if you have any tips for me in the comments, drop them below. Stuff like this, I'm really not sure what the best way to go is. We have push rods, direct acting overhead cam, and dual overhead cam. But which one of these would be the best for this purpose? And then how many valves do I need in order to get it to be that way? Like, I've just jumped from 7.1 to 8.4 by switching to overhead cam instead of dual. So naturally, I'm going to go with dual because I feel like that's probably the best. That being said, do we need other things as well? Do we need VTEC? So, low friction cast. This was a big thing in the last fuel economy video that I did. Somebody was like, man, you gotta use low friction stuff. What are you doing? And honestly, I never thought about it. So thank you for pointing that out. Let's try it. Let's see what low friction will do. Also, we can underbore this engine even further and make it a 0.5 liter instead of a 1 liter-ish. I don't know if that's going to do any better for me, because currently it just got a heck of a lot worse in the efficiency department. And our fuel economy is actually 5.6. So maybe a 0.5 liter V10 truly is the answer. I'm going to do a tune for fuel economy on the engine. This is just the AI stuff, so it gives a rough estimate basically of where we should be. 4.4. Yikes. And that's before I even touch gearing and stuff. That is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think we actually need any of these internal components to be better than they are. Also, we may as well just increase the quality of this. I think that's going to make a difference. 50 horsepower is not bad. The car is not going to be quick, but who cares? I'm setting a new goal for myself. Obviously, I want to get it to be the most efficient that it can be, the most efficient possible engine that we can get, and gearing and car in general. But shall we try and beat the Volkswagen? I think it's called the XLR or something, but it's like a 0.9 liters per 100 kilometer diesel hybrid car that they made back in 2014. That thing is extremely cool, and I wish they actually put that into production, maybe with like 2 liters per 100 kilometers instead of 0.9 in order to make it actually affordable. But let's try and beat that. 0.9 liters per 100 Ks, basically 1 liter per 100 kilometers. Can we do it? Boys, Movember hit me pretty darn hard. I'm looking old, I'm looking tired. Let's fix that with the help of today's sponsor, Henson Shaving. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've definitely heard of Henson Shaving before because they've sponsored a bunch of my videos, and it's because I really like them. The razor that I'm using is called the AL13. Mine is black, but they do have a bunch of different colors and stuff. It's basically a solid aluminum piece with a couple little pieces and then blades that are interchangeable, so it's basically built to last forever. The only thing that you actually have to replace is the blades, but if you use my code automotiveflux on their website and you have blades, a pack of 100, and a AL13 in the cart, you'll get the blades for free with your purchase. So that's honestly enough blades to last like a year or more. For me, it's going to be enough blades to last like the next 5 years, maybe 10, because I don't shave enough to use them all. That's pretty darn good value considering. Now's the time to get it. Movember is done, so you don't need to stop shaving anymore. It's time to get clean for the holidays and buy yourself a little bit of a treat, or maybe a treat for somebody else in your family. Check them out at hensonshaving.com. Don't forget my code. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Every purchase goes to support my project car, so thank you very much. As I said before, pistons, low friction. Let's just switch to that. And it actually did improve it, I guess, just like extremely slightly. If we go to the engine stats, engine efficiency 19.2. Let's just compare regular cast to low friction. 18.8 cast light, 18.9 cast heavy, 18.6, and then low friction 19.2. So it does increase the fuel efficiency, or at least the efficiency of the engine, but it is like very minor. It's not even 1%. When we're trying to squeak as much out of this as we can, it makes sense to get that though. So I'm going to try the best of the best, and it really doesn't seem to matter. Forged heavy actually seems to have the best efficiency out of all the conrods that we can get for some reason, so I mean, I'll take it. That's fine. Yeah, forged steel light is apparently worse than iron heavy, which is crazy. Apparently iron heavy cranks are also the best for efficiency as well, although I'm sure that this is like extreme decimal place stuff here that's going on. Do we need any balancing mass? The answer is yes, I guess. Increasing the balancing mass actually increases our efficiency down to 4.2 liters per 100 K, so that's even better than it was before. Still 54.5 horsepower, which is not bad at all. Keep in mind that this is a 0.5 liter V10. Just process that in your mind. Also, we're running turbos right now. I don't even need this. At least I don't think I do. Can we try naturally aspirated and see what happens? 3.4. Yeah, turbos were an optional thing. So VVT, VVL, do we need these things? Ooh, that made it worse. That made it better, and we do gain quite a bit of power from both of those. Let's try tuning the engine for economy again now that the turbo is gone. 4.0, yikes. Okay, it's definitely not quite where I'd want it. Let's cut these off. Okay, no VVT, no VVL. We're rocking 3.3 liters per 100 Ks. Which is quite a bit better than you might imagine. So this is currently a direct injection setup. I'm just gonna run through stuff real quick, try to get the best that I can get, but I feel last time what I ended up doing was having it just have a ton of power, because it turns out more power in that case was more efficient. In this case, we're still running ultimate fuel. We're super lean, but I'm going to go even leaner. 2.8. Increasing the exhaust, maybe? If I cut off the catalytic converter and the mufflers? Surprisingly, that made it worse. Okay, down to 24.6 horsepower, and I'm making 2.3 liters per 100 Ks, still without adjusting the gearing or anything like that. I think I might stop on the engine for now and just kind of leave it and see where that goes, because that might be as good as I can get with this current setup. Now, keeping in mind, of course, that I'm not using turbos. I could try turbos, but I'm scared to screw up this setup, so we might have to duplicate the engine and give that a go. That being said, everything is all screwed up here. The car is very heavy, and it shouldn't be this heavy. The engine itself is looking pretty tiny, all things considered. Just wait till you see it in the engine bay. Okay, so the car that I'm using for this is here. It does have a drag coefficient of 0.199, which is actually really good for drag. That's extremely good, in fact. I'm going to make a lot of concessions on this vehicle in order to get it to the fuel economy that I want. We're actually going to have to start way back here in the chassis, because you know what gets great economy is lightness. We need to add a lot of lightness. The lightest chassis configuration in this game that I know of is carbon fiber monocoque with a carbon fiber setup. We're still keeping the the front transverse stuff here instead of going longitudinal. Double wishbone is probably the best. Going based on weight, McPherson strut is actually lighter, so let's do that. By the way, those changes alone got us down to 1.9 liters per 100 Ks. And push rods is actually the lightest on the back, so we'll go push rods on the rear, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but increasing the quality as well should gain us some net positives. In the trim designer, we up the quality of the body once again, and I'll skip design for now and we'll go straight to the drivetrain. So 1.8 liters per 100 Ks. It's currently manual front wheel drive, 6 speeds. I think manual might be the best option for economy. Now, I know last time somebody had said that CVTs are not necessarily efficient, but I think that you might be wrong. Consider the fact that almost all of hybrid cars these days are CVTs. There's a reason that manufacturers do this, and there are engineers that are a lot smarter than me who make these kind of choices. If they figured out that dual clutch or something else was more efficient, they would probably use that. It's just in this game. I mean, this is a game at the end of the day. It's not a perfect representation of real life by any means, so keep that in mind. This is a game. Sometimes the choices I make are not going to actually make sense in the real world, and that's okay. We're just having fun at the end of the day. I'm going open diff, although it doesn't seem to make any difference. Ha. Okay, top speed 400 and whatever. That doesn't make a lick of sense, but we do need much longer gear ratios in order to get good fuel economy. Short ratios are good for when you're around town, but if you want to sustain high speed on the highway, as an example, your RPM is going to be way too high to get decent mileage. So that being said, increasing this is actually a benefit to our economy to a certain extent. You can see if I put it all the way down, our fuel economy goes to 4 liters per 100 Ks. That's because we have to run through a ton of gears to get there. But jumping up to like 400, and it's 1.8. Fuel economy of 0. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but that's with a really ridiculously short 2-speed gearbox, which again does not make a lick of sense. Let's do continuous. I'm just going to play around with it. I know that it doesn't necessarily work for this, but with a super short first gear, we're at 0 liters per 100 Ks. There we go, 3.6. That's probably more realistic. I think I can actually shorten the ratio on this, which would make sense for us. There we go, 2.6. And can I get even better? Okay, so the best I can get out of the CVT is 2.1. So the manual, even with like 7 speeds, is actually better in this case, but like just barely. This is a lot easier for the average person to drive. So a 10-speed automatic will do 2.3 with a spread that I can have it here. I'm not sure. Yeah, if we go for a ridiculous spread in the gears, it doesn't help us at all. I'm going to be here for a while. Boys, that's the best I can get. Manual 6-speed with this current setup. Basically the highest top gear we can get and the lowest first gear that we can get with a spread of 28 seems to be the best that I can do at 1.8 liters per 100 Ks. And this is also still with aero on the car. Keep that in mind. Going over to the fixtures, delete and delete. We might actually pick up a little bit of mileage because of that. 1.7, oh, it's something. It's definitely something. Going over the wheels. Now, I think we figured this out before, but it was hard long life, I believe, that was the best. Yeah, 1.5 for hard long life is the best that we can get. Now, the back wheels do not need to be anywhere near as large as they were before, but this is one of those tricky things where I was confused last time I was doing this, because if you make the wheels thinner, you would think that you would get better economy. And I think for this car that should make sense. But right now, if I go down to like 135s, which is really, really tiny, I think that's even smaller than like Mitsubishi Mirage wheels, we're actually getting worse economy because of this. So awkwardly, having huge, huge wheels on the back actually, at least in this game, because again, it's just a game, reality is bicycle wheels would be great for us. But having massive wheels on the back actually increases our fuel economy. I think maybe less tire would be a good call. Oh wait, no. We actually need larger diameter. That messes with our gearing. This is kind of going against everything that I had previously thought about economy, because if I make the front wheels bigger, then I'm increasing the gear ratio. The back wheels shouldn't matter as much, and I should be able to just put them at basically nothing. Increasing the size of the front rims actually nets us more economy down to 1.6, even with tiny, tiny wheels at the back. Oh man. This car is going to look absolutely jank, by the way, just to prepare you. Okay, I've got 85s on the front, which is basically bicycle wheels, but they're 18-inch rims. I'm just going to increase the size of this more and more. It is not going the way I thought it would. What the heck is going on? So I'm increasing the size of the rear rim. I guess because the rims are carbon fiber, they weigh less than tires do. So I'm actually gaining economy when I do this. And that is as big as they can get. Okay, I'm just gonna have to call it like 18s apparently is what it wanted. 18s on the back and 20s on the front. Is this gonna make a difference? Okay, that's a negative difference. Get rid of that. Drivability is 97% with this setup, by the way. If you wanted proof that the game doesn't make a lot of sense. Look at the wheels. Okay, so realistically, like if you lift the front of your car, it's not good aerodynamically because that allows more air to rush here, and this car has no under tray, at least not yet. Now, if your car does have a full under tray and it's flow optimized, raising your car can actually increase your fuel economy because of the way that your nose is pitched, and that can help with like transfer of air over your windshield and stuff. It's complicated. One of the things that I'm glad that I never got into when I was in school is aerodynamics. The most complicated physics that I did when I was in school was static, so I'm very pleased about that. But anybody who's into aerodynamics, man, that's like, it's a weird science because things are known, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't know. And I think that's the fun part about it. That being said, there's some obvious stuff too. So let's make some more changes, see if I can get this even better. Brakes, they're kind of important, but they're not really important for this. I'm going to decrease the size of them, make them really tiny. This car is super light, so it doesn't really matter. So let's go drums. Carbon's actually lighter, so we'll go carbon. Aerodynamics. Now this makes a big difference in this game, so flow optimized I believe is the most efficient that we can get. 1.3 did not have enough to change, unfortunately, but yikes. The drag coefficient is what we're looking for here. You can see a drag coefficient of 0.213 is what we get without the flow optimized, and running through all of these flow optimized is by far the least at 0.143. So huge difference. Another thing to consider, obviously quality slider, that's going to make a big difference. Cooling airflow, somebody mentioned it in the last video, but if we decrease the size of this, obviously we get less cooling capacity, but this game isn't really good with cooling. Like, this is pretty much a useless slider most of the time. If I lower this down all the way, then we would be more aerodynamic theoretically, but we're half the cooling capacity that we need. So it's like, is it worth it? I'm going to try it for the sake of this build. I never touch this slider, but we're going to decrease our drag by making the cooling significantly less. Interior, we have back seats. We don't need back seats. Say goodbye to those. That actually increased our fuel economy. What the heck? Basic interior. Our car now has one seat in it, so you know it's the real deal. And this stuff, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Safety. Ooh, this is important. Let's just go back to 1940 and hit none. 1.3 again. Yeah, that cut off a lot of weight. So I thought that weight distribution might actually affect fuel economy, but it doesn't seem to do anything at all to fuel economy, so that was a waste of time. Let's go standard suspension. I don't think this is going to matter particularly, but 1.2, we're darn close to that 0.9 goal. Passive sway bars. Yeah, that was a good one too. So it seems like standard and progressive are basically the same for the fuel economy, and dampers don't mean anything. Sway bars do for some reason. Maybe it's just weight, but basically 1.2 here and then 1.3 here. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Let's go race preset, 1.2 there as well. I think high quality here will be good. If I lower the car down, it actually increases the economy, at least in this game. So that's as low as she can go. That's pretty darn low, and it does have a bit of a Carolina squat to it, if you know what I mean. 1.2 liters per 100k. Come on, man. It's so darn close to being better. 1.23. It's so close. It's actually only 63,000 for this carbon fiber beast. I'm shocked. So differential doesn't actually seem to make a difference with economy, so we're just going to go for an electric LSD. This thing has 25 horsepower, so it's not like it's really going to matter anyways. I don't think we're going to be getting squirrely with it. Man, we're darn close. I think I need to shed some lightness here. A little bit of interior going to disappear. We're going down to the absolute bare minimum on componentry. Mirrors, do we actually need those? Probably not. One of the things I've been seeing on EcoModder is people like to take off one of their mirrors, and it's always the passenger side, so get rid of that. This car was originally supposed to be an Underground 2 version of the Bugo, but it's kind of morphed into something completely different now. It's a test bed, and I like it. I've been painting a ton of cars yellow recently, so I'm going to go back to the trusty red. I like red a lot. Hold on a minute, I've just been informed that the sedan version of this car actually has very slightly better drag coefficient. So keep in mind we're currently rocking, I believe we're still at 1.2. Yeah, it's 1.2. I'm going to switch to the sedan just out of curiosity to see what that does. It is going to absolutely ruin all the fixtures, so I'll have to replace those. But is that better? Oh, actually, wow, it looks mint. Holy smokes, it looks good with the fixtures on there. Wow, don't need to change anything except for maybe the exhaust pipe. And it is 1.2, although it is better very slightly, and we've lost utility. I'm not learning much, am I? Okay, according to this fuel economy scale, I've managed 1.17, so I'm going with this one because it's more nice to me. It says 1.2 here, 1.17. In order to achieve that, I've basically shrunk the wheels as much as I can in terms of diameter. Width is another story because it's kind of weird. If I decrease these to say like 85, which you would think would be more efficient, it doesn't necessarily make it more efficient in the eyes of the game. 1.19 is like very slightly worse. Very slightly. So instead we go 205s, because that just increases the drivability of the car significantly. So I guess that's that. I might have made this the most efficient that I can, and I'm kind of disappointed. I thought I could get it better. 1.2, is that all I can do? Is that the best that I can get? I am really not sure. I don't know anymore. Can we do better than that? Can we 5 valves? I mean, it's better. More valves is apparently a good thing for this car. 1.2, we're not using VVL anyways. 1.1, 1.1, oh my goodness. Titanium conrods now are better for some reason. If we change this to harmonic, maybe? Oh, that's actually better. Maybe now that the engine makes way less power, we just don't need as much dampening. Maybe we don't need any dampening at all. Hold on. We got none, and we got 0.5 kilograms. Yikes, 1.1, I'm so close. I'm so close. Okay, I think I can only really come up with another, well, I'm just going to have to go through every single one of these things and tune them until I get where I want to be. I have compression very slightly down, so turning that up also increases economy just very slightly. Springs and lifters needs to be at the softest, so we'll keep it there. And this is where I don't want to go for this, but I think it might be the best answer, and that's lower the RPM limit. Because if we cut it off before peak power, then we're going to gain efficiency, and that's just kind of how it goes, unfortunately. So cut the power down to 3,000. Is it worth it? 1.0 and we lose half our power? I'm going to try something else. Yeah, so with 1.1, it's like, it's so darn close. I'm just going to have to keep tweaking. So awkwardly going with a reverse flow muffler actually seems to increase our economy. You can see it's green there. If I go to none, it gets worse. So reverse flow it is. These kind of minute differences definitely add up, but man is it finicky. Okay, we've reached an awkward stage where ride height being at the highest is actually the best for our economy. Now the car looks like it's massive for some reason. Boys, I did what I can do. I did everything that I can do, that I can think of, in order to get this car to be as efficient as humanly possible. Obviously, we could change the chassis to be something that even has a much lower coefficient of drag. Like, this thing by itself only weighs 300 kilos. Like, it's extremely light. It's not a big car. But we could go smaller. I mean, the engine itself is not particularly big, but even a 0.5 liter V10, I have managed to extract, if grand total here is 1.07 liters per 100 kilometers out of it, which is crazy. That is really, really good fuel economy, and I'm impressed with myself. So what do you think? You think you can beat me? I would challenge you to go ahead and recreate this exact same engine in automation and try to beat my score. You probably want to use a different body than this one, but for now, that's the best I can do. A lot of it really comes down to gearing, aerodynamics, and your tires as well affect gearing, but obviously the engine itself needs to be on like a lean burn cycle, and it only makes 25 horsepower, so it's not exactly a rocket ship. But I think it's going to be pretty cool in BeamNG, so let's check it out there and see how it does. Oh boy. Everything broke immediately as I spawned it in. That's a good sign. That is a beautiful sign. We might have to exchange the wheels for something from BeamNG to make this work, but yeah, no, we're definitely going to have to do that. The engine goes, and it does drive. I wanted to test it out in Italy, so maybe that was my mistake. We just got robbed. Okay, let me fix this. So the way to change wheels, by the way, on your automation cars, if you want to use BeamNG wheels, is fairly straightforward. You need to change the hubs. So instead of being automation exported, I'm just going to do 4-lug wheels. Just to give you an idea of how tiny this car is, by the way, I am using basically the smallest wheels that I can find for 4-wheel, and that's 13 by 5s, and they look like this in there. They look massive. But anyways, that's going to be it. Hopefully this is enough to get us moving. Okay, we got some actual BeamNG wheels on the car, which look mint, by the way. Those are absolutely beautiful. I decided to pick some super narrow ones, and the back is still way too sucked in, but whatever. Now we can actually drive. Not very fast, but we can actually move. At least a little bit. Now keep in mind the wheels that I had on there originally were carbon fiber, super lightweight, so... Oh jeez, the brakes, they're too strong. Oh no, ABS was a mistake. But yeah, the wheels I had on there were carbon fiber, they're super light. So it means that these heavy steel wheels are definitely going to affect the way that the car drives, and you can see that the toe-in, or the camber, sorry, is a lot too aggressive for these. But it's okay, it's whatever, we're messing around right now. Synchronizer damage, which is hilarious, considering I'm not using the clutch. I'm using the auto clutch, and apparently the auto clutch is making mistakes. Italy is beautiful this time of year when you're listening to your car's wheels screech on the pavement. Oh my goodness. ABS, use it. Yeah, for 25 horsepower, it actually does get up and go pretty decently. It has a ridiculous top speed potential because of how the gears are made. It does actually have 6 speeds as well, so you know, I mean, I could be short shifting this and getting better economy actually. But yeah, it does have 6 speeds, and I know I'm hammering it down all over the place, like I'm using full throttle. I'm not exactly feathering the gas in order to get better economy here, but I don't know, when you have such little power, you kind of have to use it in awkward ways. Oh, I just noticed the back is not white walled like the front. How did I mess that up? Oh, it'll do a bit of a burnout. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit. Man, this is too fun. This is way too fun. 25 horsepower car? Sign me up, boys. I would definitely ride one. She humming along. This V10 is screaming. Oh my goodness. I really want to do like a little engine showcase. I think that'd be so much fun to see what that's all about. Or maybe what we can do is like a fuel economy maximum showcase. You cannot get better than 2 liters per 100 Ks. Your engine has to do better than that, otherwise you get disqualified, and we're doing a race. That could be a lot of fun. Okay, I'm humming along at 100 kilometers an hour downhill. This car being only 300 kilos is super light. Oh my goodness. I can't drive it is what I was gonna say. I didn't need that example though. Yeah, I feel like this car is definitely more at home in the city than it is in the country. And realistically, I mean, 2 seats is what it has in it right now, but when I made it in the game, it only had 1 seat. There are definitely a few concessions to get this kind of fuel economy. Also, let's take this little bridge, why not? Wow. It's beautiful. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's beautiful in a not rendering amazing sort of way. I actually have the graphics turned down on BeamNG in order to get a better frame rate for these videos. By the way, well, I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to hit 60K as soon as humanly possible. Originally, I was like, oh yeah, end of the year, but that's not going to happen. So as soon as possible, let's hit 60K, and then 100K, and then 1,000,000. You know how it goes. But we're a long way off from that. But just liking this video, I mean, if you made it all the way through to the end, that's enough. Like, I appreciate that just by itself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. I'm always listening to comments. I'm trying to improve myself and improve these videos, and crash into stuff and screw up my front axle. Wow. The curbs in Italy are absolutely ruthless. But yeah, check out Henson Shaving, and if you're interested, buy one of those razors for one of your relatives or for yourself. They work really well, genuinely. I don't shave super often, but when I do, I'm using the Henson. I'm cleaning myself up good, and yeah, you can too. It's an environmental purchase, honestly. Like, when you buy one of those, it's hopefully you're going to be able to use it for life. And I'm hopeful that maybe you'll think about fuel economy as well. It's kind of important. It's not something I think about too much, but I do try to get the best economy I can when I'm driving. I've been able to push my RAM to get decent economy, especially better than the average, including the EPA recommended. I'm doing a lot better than that. But yeah, more eco-modding stuff to come, more hyper-miling stuff to come. I have a lot of ideas for real life and for videos for those types of things, so yeah, stick around. See you guys again soon, and yeah, if you want to support me a little bit extra, Patreon, join button, those guys are coming up soon. Until then, thank you for watching. Let's crash into something at slow speed. That's just appropriate for this car. Oh no. Oh yes. The wheel came off so easy. See you next week. Huge thanks to my join button and Patreon members. I appreciate you guys a lot. So just a shout out for the people in the V8 tier of my join button memberships. We have Overlord, Mancini Country, Baja Blast, I Look Valheim Shadow Jasper, Phoenix Shark, Goofy Plays, Davis Heister, J Pope, and Terry01. I have made these pretty much as cheap as possible. The Patreon is $1 a month, and you can also start on YouTube at $1 a month, and then there's $2 a month, and then this is $5. So it's i4 Turbo, and V8. But any help is appreciated. I invest this money right back into the channel. I recently bought a GoPro, which I intend to use for my real life content, which I'm trying to make more of, but I have some really dumb stuff coming up soon. Talking about stories at the end of the video super quick, I have a video that I'm going to be filming this weekend with my wife. We're going to be opening a Red Bull that my school gave me back when I first started in 2013, and I have not opened it. So I might get sick and be puking everywhere, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So check it out. I'll probably turn it into a short, and then I'll post it on YouTube for the Patreon and you join button members to see the full length one. And then I'll eventually release it publicly as well. But I'm very excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, check it out when it comes. See you guys again soon.